Welcome back to the Deep Dive. And specifically, welcome back to Dr. Podcast. Today, we are strapping in for a really high-octane analysis of something that I think redefined what reality competition even means. We are diving deep into Netflix's Physical Asia.
Oh, this was so much more than a show. It was a genuine cultural and athletic event. Our mission today is really a strategic analysis of how this show blew up the reality format. From individual excellence to this geopolitical, team-based spectacle.
Exactly. We're not just looking at the muscles here. We're getting into the mechanics, the money, and the massive global controversies that came with it.
Right.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little. If you watch Physical 100, that was all about finding the single perfect individual physical. Asia took that whole premise and just threw it into a meat grinder of national rivalry.
That's a perfect way to put it. This was basically an Olympic-level event, but engineered for maximum TV drama and global engagement.
And that shift in scale is what really sets it apart, isn't it?
Absolutely. They weren't building a set for a studio show. They were engineering an epic. Everything about the production was designed to feel enormous, high stakes.
And the numbers really back that up.
Okay.
This wasn't just a local tournament. We had teams from the entire Pan-Asian region.
8 nations total: Korea, Japan, Mongolia, Thailand, the Philippines, Indonesia, Turkey, and even Australia. That's a huge competitive field.
So the prize had to match that ambition.
It had to. We're talking about a W1 billion grand prize.
Which is what, about 700,000 US dollars?
Around that, yeah. Which is a life-changing amount of money in almost every single one of those participating nations.
Right. I mean, that's a sum designed to get the absolute rawest competitive drive out of people. When the stakes are that high, you see what humans are really made of.
Exactly. And the environment itself was basically another competitor. The sets they built were custom. They covered an area equal to about 5 football fields.
5 football fields? That's just wild.
But here's the thing. It wasn't just the size of the set that made the difference. It was the conditions they introduced.
Okay, wait, let's stop there for a second. You mentioned the 1,200 tons of sand. That's not just for looks, is it? How did that one single element completely change the game?
Oh, it was a brilliant piece of strategic design. The sand was a key environmental variable. Think about it. Sand just wrecks your muscle stabilization. If you're a high-speed sprinter or you rely on explosive jumps and a stable footing, sand it neutralizes your advantage instantly.
So it forces athletes to use their deep core strength, more functional movements. It favors stability over just pure speed.
Precisely. The production was deliberately, nerfing the strengths of certain sports like track running or isolated bodybuilding. They were favoring functional strength athletes instead.
And that leads right into the biggest change from the first season, the format itself.
Yes. The move to a 6-person team competition. Suddenly, the core pillars for success weren't just individual strength or speed. They were explicitly teamwork, strategy, and sacrifice. You needed 6 people with complementary skills, not just 6 solo champions.
Which is a huge mental jump for athletes who are used to competing alone. They had to become logistics experts overnight.
Oh, absolutely. A team full of incredible powerlifters could be totally defeated by a team with better planning, smarter leadership, and, more specific functional skills. All those individual metrics from Physical.
Yep.
100. Totally irrelevant here.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. We need to look at that first gauntlet of challenges and how they immediately force that kind of strategic thinking.
Okay, so the first big test, territorial conquest. It was basically king of the hill on a giant sand dune. And right away, it showcased the format's bias. That unstable sandy ground, as we were saying, it just inherently rewarded athletes with a low center of gravity and grappling skills.
So your wrestlers, your judo practitioners,
Yeah.
athletes who thrive on friction and leverage.
Exactly. The Mongolian team, for instance, leans so heavily on their Buk wrestling champions. For anyone who hasn't seen it, Buk is traditional Mongolian wrestling, and it's all about balance, grips, and throws on uneven ground.
So that skill set mapped perfectly onto a sand dune challenge. It was almost an unfair advantage over, say, a bodybuilder.
It really was. Then we moved to the shipwreck salvage. This was a pure one-on-one match. 20 minutes to move as much cargo as you can, boxes, sandbags. It was a pure test of organized, sustained labor.
And that's where we saw Team Korea just dominate. They set the record. moving a colossal 2,120 kilograms.
And that wasn't just about raw muscle. That was superior organization, perfect pace management, and just relentless efficiency for 20 straight minutes.
So right away, you saw the powerhouse rosters emerge. You had Korea, the all-star team with alumni like Kim Dong-hyun and Amadi, the winner from the second individual season. They already had institutional knowledge of how these games work.
Right. And then you had Mongolia with that regional specificity, with the Buk champions. The stage was set for this huge physical clash, but the drama. It became geopolitical when leadership and strategy started to break down.
Which brings us to the Philippines team. We have to talk about the star power of Manny Pacquiao.
Of course. Pacquiao, the 8-division boxing legend, was their captain. His name alone drew massive global attention, a casting masterstroke for viewership.
But star power only gets you so far.
Exactly. It's only as good as the commitment behind it. And he left mid-season. In episode 5, he cited other duties.
That's a huge blow to morale and the whole leadership structure right as the pressure is ramping up.
It was a massive disruption. They had to rally under new leadership, which just proves that in a team game, commitment really outweighs celebrity. But the real masterpiece of strategy, or I guess monumental blunder, came during the elimination setup.
Let's get to it. The infamous 1,200 kg pillar push death match.
The setup here was just critical. The bottom 3 teams after the battle rope relay had to face elimination. But the cruel twist was this. Anyone who competed in the battle rope was not allowed to compete in the pillar push.
So it forced teams to make a terrible choice. Risk your strongest players early or save them for a potential elimination match. It became a cold, calculated risk.
It really did. And Australia, facing elimination, made what we can now see was a fatal mistake. They put their strongest, most explosive guys like Whitaker and Williams into the battle rope.
They were probably overconfident, thinking they could just win the relay and avoid the push altogether.
That's my guess. But they ended up completely exhausting their primary power squad.
Meanwhile, Mongolia, who were also in the bottom 3, played it smart. They played chess, not checkers.
They absolutely did. They saw the energy cost of the battle rope, and they just strategically sacrificed it. They saved their main power squad, all those Buk champions like Orkan Bayar, and kept them completely fresh. They calculated that saving their energy for the 1,200-kilogram pillar was the smarter move, even if it was risky.
And the result was just brutal to watch. Australia's key players were running on fumes. They were spent.
It led to that unbelievably grueling elimination match. There's a quote from one of the Mongolian contestants. He called it a 3-hour hell.
3 hours. Wow.
Yeah, that tells you everything about the stamina required. Mongolia finished strong, and they cemented themselves as a top contender, purely because of shrewd resource management and a willingness to lose the smaller battle to win the war.
So, okay, what does this all mean for the show's integrity? The production was massive, the drama was off the charts, but so were the controversies. That intense nationalism they were stoking became a real double-edged sword. It started fueling global doubt.
This is the critical part of the story. We have to address the pattern of skepticism that popped up, mostly from non-Korean participants and their fans. We basically identified 3 main pillars of doubt about the competition's integrity.
Okay, let's start with the most obvious one. Mechanical failures.
Right. There were several well-documented incidents where key equipment allegedly malfunctioned, and it specifically disadvantaged the non-Korean teams. The sources point to Japan's gate during the castle conquest, which supposedly didn't open right, and Australia's sensors in that battle rope relay, which made their total score debatable in real time.
And the Japanese MMA fighter Yushin Okami even protested the gate thing on social media, right?
Yep.
Before he had to post an apology. So whether it was intentional or not, that kind of thing just breeds distrust.
It absolutely does. When production issues seem to line up with non-Korean teams struggling, it feeds a certain narrative. The second pillar was sudden rule changes.
Oh, nothing kills competitive trust faster than changing the rules mid-game.
Exactly. We saw these mid-crest alterations, like the unannounced time cut during the sack toss challenge. That one allegedly hit the Philippines team the hardest, and it sparked huge outrage from their very passionate fan base. The rules have to be sacred once a challenge starts.
And the final point, the perception of home team bias, which I guess ties back to them casting so many alumni from the first show.
Yes. The built-in advantage for the Korean players was huge. They had, I think, up to 100 total physical, 100 alumni on the show. These are athletes who already knew the production's logic. They knew the pressure of the set. They knew the kinds of quests the creators liked. That's an institutional knowledge no other country had.
Which created this really powerful narrative for skeptics. It's summarized perfectly by that quote we found. A Korean show, filmed in Korea, judged by Koreans, won by Korea. That just says it all, that feeling of disenfranchisement.
It absolutely encapsulates the frustration from the international viewers. But to be fair, we have to include the counter-argument. And it came, pretty remarkably, from a rival team.
The Mongolian team's perspective.
That's right. One of their members, Dolgan Engsok, gave this really gracious public statement. He said, and I'm quoting here, "Netflix wouldn't rig a show for the whole world to see. Their experience led them to victory. We graciously accept the results."
That is such a vital piece of context. It kind of shifts the focus. While the worries about production transparency are totally legitimate, this suggests the Korean team's win wasn't necessarily manipulation.
But more about superior preparation and, familiarity with the show's very unique demands. They leveraged their experience perfectly. They just adapted faster than the newcomers.
And despite all this backlash and all the controversy, the commercial success was, it was undeniable. This show was a monster for Netflix.
Oh, financially, it was a huge win. It stayed in the global top 10 consistently. In one single peak week, November 10th to the 16th, it hit 25.8 million hours watched. The global audience was completely hooked.
And regionally, it was #1 in 9 countries, including South Korea, Japan, the Philippines, Indonesia. The engagement was through the roof. It proves that the combination of drama, scale, and nationalism was a really potent cocktail.
And that brings us back to that double-edged sword of using national rivalry. The genius of it is that the format unlocked this, Olympic level of emotional investment. It created intense fan engagement, these deep tribal loyalties. People were rooting for their flag.
But the danger, of course, is that same emotional investment just amplified every single mistake. A simple technical glitch wasn't a glitch anymore. It was evidence of national bias. It fueled toxic online fights and sore loser narratives, which then kind of cheapens the incredible athletic achievements we saw.
So if they do move forward with these rumored global seasons, physical, world or physical, Europe, they have to learn from this. And we see 2 undeniable lessons here.
Okay, lesson 1. Functional fitness is king.
Absolutely. The final showdown between Korea and Mongolia was the ultimate proof of that. Functional, compound movements, the wrestling, the grappling, the book, the CrossFit style, it was superior in every single quest to isolated bodybuilding or pure powerlifting. If you can't move a 1.2-ton pillar after running a relay, your bicep size is irrelevant.
And lesson 2, which is the big one, the corrective for all the controversy, transparency is completely non-negotiable.
To get global legitimacy, future seasons need rock-solid, unchangeable fairness systems. We need real-time, on-screen counters for things like the rope pull to eliminate any censor doubts. We need public equipment checks before challenges. And critically, they need multinational or third-party judges to get rid of any perception of home team bias. The drama has to come from the athletes, not from questioning the scoreboard.
That is a phenomenal breakdown of the anatomy of this spectacle. You've walked us through the insane scale, the strategic genius behind sacrifice, and that crucial need for transparency when you're playing with national pride for entertainment.
Well, it leaves you with a big question, doesn't it? If the future of global reality TV is going to rely on this intense emotional investment from national rivalry, can producers ever fully satisfy our demand for both that epic high-stakes drama and absolute transparent fairness? That's the billion-dollar balancing act they have to figure out next season.
A truly provocative thought to wrap up today's deep dive. Thank you so much for dissecting this massive show for us. And thank you, our listener, for joining us again on Dr. Podcast. We will catch you next time.